Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about why most Dibias who engage in Ogwego activities do not perform the same charm, the same rituals for their families, for their children, for their extended family, and for their kids and kin. But they would willingly perform the same sacrifice, perform the same ritual, install the same Ogwu Juju for other people that they are not affiliated to by blood or who lives within the same community as them. So, by my observation, the recent glamorization of Ogwego, the recent glamorization of charms like Ibobu, Okite, Awele, and the rest of them, it comes with a clause that is being told by the Dibia to the young Igbo children. The Dibia tells these young men and women that they can engage in these Ogwego activities without having or needing to sacrifice any human life. So because of this clause, there is a glamorization of Okite, Ibobo, and different kind of Ogwego charms because they're acting on the notion that they can do these things without having to give up their humanity by sacrificing any human life. So as a result of this clause that the Dibia has told these young men and women, they are now operating from the notion that they can do these things and get away with the consequences. Because the Dibia would always tell them that there are unintended or intended consequences that would arise from this thing. But because these young men and women are being told that they can have this Ogwo, get wealth, but they don't have to sacrifice a human life, they turn a deaf ear to the unintended and intended consequences or reaction that would come as a result of them trying to bypass nature, force nature by engaging in these Ogwo and Okite activities. Now, these Dibias that these young men engage with to perform or to kawaroffer this Okite or these charms, these same Dibias would never, ever try to perform or to install such charm for any of their family members. They will not do it for their sons, they will not do it for their daughters, they will not do it for their brothers, and they will not do it for their relatives. They will only encourage them to either they engage in ritual sacrifices because it is what Ndibo we are known for, or they will simply encourage them to work hard. But the Dibias who engage in these Ogwego activities would not encourage anybody close to them to do the same thing because they are fully aware of the consequences that are attached to it. And because they are aware, they would never ever encourage anybody close to them or related to them to actually do it. But then they are going to profit from the ignorance of other people who are desperate or who do not want to engage with nature and try to work their way up to the food chain or to the to the climax or to the ladder of success. They want to bypass nature through Ogwo and Ogwo activities. But then what are those unintended or intended consequences that prevents the Dibia from even trying to perform this charm for anybody? But then, what are those intended or unintended consequences that prevent the Dibia from installing or instituting this Ogwo for his kids and kin, for his son or for his brothers? Now, the first one is that as an Igbo, cosmologically or within our social environment, we have certain animals, we have certain animals or we have certain activities, things that we don't do and things that we do. It could be as a result of what the family engage in or what the community or what you as a person, what you have, collectively agreed upon. So because of this concept of onso or ifo and sonso, it makes the installation or the institution of Ogwo to be tricky. Now, for instance, if I'm from Nnewi, in my community in Nnewi, we do not kill snakes, we look at it as a sacred animal that is from Edo Nnewi or Ajani. So we preserve and we consider this eke as a sacred animal. Because of that, no Nnewi indigene would ever think of killing an eke, eating an eke. Now, imagine me, an indigene of Nnewi, goes to another community to engage in Ogwego activity and tells the Dibia, and the Dibia does that and now uses this eke, this sacred animal to my people as part of an animal that you sacrifice to Oife Ejiwena Wo Nyabo. What would happen here is that it is going to be against the fundamental cosmological and spiritual principles that guide me as Wanda or Wo or Nnewi. So this means it's creating a conflict of interest between my ancestral foundation with this unnatural or handmade charm or handmade spirit or principle that I'm trying to invite to work in my life. So because of the principle of ihe anaso nobudo or ihe mado naso nobudo, it could create an unintended consequences. Because what is happening here is that I am not going to be misaligned with my ancestral and familial spirits, and therefore, because I am misaligned with them by engaging in Ife Hanaso, there is going to be consequences attached to it by the virtue of my action needing to engage in Ogwego activity. Now, the Dibia is aware of this principle, and this will make the Dibia to say, no, none of my family members engage in this thing, to make sure that they don't do something that it is going to affect them negatively. The second reason here is that Ogwego does not follow the natural principle of Chi Nezumezu. Ogwego, first of all, is something man-made. It is unnatural. It does not come from our innate foundations, our ancestral foundation. It comes from a combination, an alchemical process of mixing two and two together. Now, because Ogwo is unnatural, it has the tendencies of acting outside of the purview of the people that created it. Ndibo, we call it that Ogwo has the tendency to have its own consciousness. It becomes an artificial intelligence, and it grows its consciousness and begins to act outside of what you've asked it to do. For instance, you could prepare an Ogwo with an instruction that I want you to make me get rich. I want you to attract wealth for me. Now, what this Ogwo could do is it could drag or it could attract wealth to you, but not just would it be attracting that wealth to you, it could attract some other thing attached to it. It could be some sort of problem. It could be probably it is as it's bringing attracting wealth to you, armed robbers, kidnapping. It comes with it. So because Ogwo is unnatural, it is acting outside the purview, the principles that has been laid down by our ancestral Chi Nezumezu. This is because Ndibo, our ancestors believed that when you take an oath of life. That oath of life includes what you're coming here to do, the path you're supposed to take, how you're going to achieve it, the structures that you're supposed to pass through for you to be where you're supposed to be. So that already our Chi and its Ezumezu have laid down a path to our actualization of our cosmic purpose. But what Ogwo does is to deviate or to attract or to drag in that or to make you stray from that path. And by making you stray from that path, Ogwo now has the tendency of channeling or deviating you into or making you to engage in activities and actions that your Chi abhors and disagrees with, thereby straying you from your natural path. Now, the last one here is that by straying from the natural path of Chi Nezumezu, other things can follow, which includes death, barrenness, insanity, sickness, and every other forms of Nseke. Nseke in Igbo cosmology or in Igbo language is a form of misfortunes, negativities, inflicting and afflicting the life of an individual. So by Ogwo making you to stray from the path your Chi has destined for you, it could lead you into the path of death. It could lead you into the path of insanity. It could lead you into the path of sickness, and it could basically cause barrenness. So at the end of the day, these Dibias are fully aware that Ogwo has these various characteristics that can destroy the life of an individual. And it does not matter to Ogwo if you killed a person or you used the body parts of a dead person to amplify it. What matters to Ogwo is that you are acting or you're trying to instill or install something that is not part of your cosmological path. It is not part of your Chi Nezumezu, it is artificial. And because it is artificial and the nature on which Ogwo operates, it has the capacity, the tendencies to afflict you negatively, to come back and bite you and destroy your life. Now, I look at it as a way nature tries to warn us or to prevent us from trying to look outside of what we are supposed to do. So I look at it as nature trying to warn us about the dangers of Ogwo and encouraging us to follow our natural path and follow the principles of our Chi and our Ezumezu. Because if nature permits the usage of Ogwo, then to an extent, or at the end of the day, human nature would no longer prevail, and we will basically end up just trying to use Ogwo to achieve everything that we want to achieve, without having to use our physical and our mental acumen. Because when we talk about Chi Ezumezu, Ogwo is part of our Ezumezu, and Ogwo manifests as our mental and intellectual capacity. So if we stray and begin to delve into Ogwo, it means that we are no longer going to be using our natural acumen to function. We will now be needing something external that is not part of our cosmological principles, and therefore the human race would be in trouble. So I guess this is, why nature acts the way it does. But the Dibia is quite aware of this. And because the Dibia is quite aware of this, they will not do this to people around them, but they will do it for other people. And in most cases, for the truthful ones, they will tell you not to do this. But most at the end of the day, they end up doing it, which becomes a problem. So this is it. And if you want to learn more about ordinary, this is the right channel for you. And until next time, yeah, guys.